A Milwaukee judge helped a deported domestic abuser escape ICE, sent him out a jury door. MSNBC's crying intimidation. Trump gets blamed. That's what happens when criminals serve the narrative and the system protects its own.
We begin this hour with a major escalation of the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration, as well as Trump's ongoing fight with the judiciary branch. This morning, FBI agents arrested a county judge in Milwaukee on charges that she helped an undocumented immigrant evade arrest by deportation officers last week. According to the charging documents, when officers appeared outside Milwaukee Circuit Court Judge Hannah Duggan's courtroom last week to arrest 30-year-old Eduardo Flores Ruiz, they claimed the judge sent them away and then instructed Flores Ruiz and his attorney to leave her courtroom through a door used by the jury. Later, the deportation officers did ultimately make the arrest outside the courthouse following a foot chase. Duggan faces charges of obstructing or impeding a proceeding before a department or agency of the United States, as well as a charge of concealing an individual to. The days of actively aiding and abetting illegal aliens invading our country are over. The Trump administration will never waver on putting Americans and America first with a no-nonsense approach to immigration enforcement. In this administration, anyone who commits crimes exposes themselves to criminal liability.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the Justice Department thinks they have a really good position here. Pam Bondi was on television today boasting about this arrest and using language that prosecutors don't tend to use, especially in the pre-indictment phase, not saying allegedly, saying that it happened. And look, I think a lot depends on if the facts are true, as alleged by the FBI agent in the court papers today. It doesn't look great for the judge. No matter how you slice it, take her to court and charge her federally. That's a big step.
Mary, I'm going to get to you in just a minute, but why would she do something like this? Send them out this other door. And the second question is, Kash Patel,
right,
the FBI director, tweeted about this, used social media and X to announce this. That's very unusual behavior for the FBI director, is it not?
It is, although not for Kash Patel necessarily. To your first question, these kind of tensions between local judges and federal immigration authorities, they go back decades, actually. In the Obama administration, this was playing out with so-called sanctuary cities, and federal immigration officials have always been annoyed when judges try to shield people in their courtrooms from their clutches, essentially. And judges say, look, if you start arresting people in our courtrooms, people aren't going to show up to court. People aren't going to cooperate with the police. And that's why we want to have this divide. And really, there's two competing interests here. In this case, you had a man charged with domestic violence, previously had been deported. He was clearly deportable. And so, it's not really clear what the interest was from shielding him from that.
Mary, let's look at what's happening on the ground in Wisconsin. Milwaukee elected leaders are responding. Senator Tammy Baldwin noted, in the United States, we have a system of checks and balances and separations of power for damn good reasons. That is a quote. The Milwaukee County executive said the FBI is politicizing the situation and that the Trump administration is more concerned about weaponizing federal law enforcement than they are with seeking justice. Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson added his own thoughts, saying that he wishes the Trump administration would focus less on settling scores and more on fixing the economy that they've broken. So how is this going to play out, not just politically as this moves through the court system, but also the message that it might send to judges across the country?
Yeah. Well, like so many things we're seeing ever since January 20th, it's about intimidation. It's a scare tactic. The same way the administration, including the Attorney General, has gone after so-called sanctuary cities with investigations. She's now doing the same with judges. And to Ken's point earlier, let's be clear. I have worked with Republican and Democratic law enforcement officials, mayors, state officials, judges. And the reasons for these policies are not to sort of like shelter or harbor somebody who is here unlawfully. It's to build trust in their communities for the reasons you indicated, but also law enforcement feel that way. They rely on the citizens to report crimes, to show up as witnesses, to, send their kids to school without worrying that they're going to be detained if they do that, right? And if you ruin that trust by doing not what they're doing what the law requires when it comes to, providing the information that the law requires them to provide to federal immigration enforcement. But the federal immigration law is based on voluntariness of states and locals. And in fact, it would violate the 10th Amendment to force state and local officials to help enforce a federal regulatory scheme, federal
so
immigration
it relies
law.
on a certain amount of cooperation.
They want more cooperation, but there is no requirement of cooperation. Now, obviously, what's happening here with Judge Duggan is a little bit different because the allegation is that essentially she was obstructing their ability to make this arrest. Again, not a criminal arrest, an administrative arrest based on, indication that the person was here unlawfully. And they're arguing, though, that she also essentially was hiding this person. And I think that's going to be a stretch for the prosecution. I also think arresting her, with law enforcement in the morning, I don't know, I assume it was at her house, talk about heavy-handed. I mean, you could have sent charging documents, served her with charging documents. This woman's going to show up in court. So this was about intimidation.
She helped a fugitive walk out of court, and they call her the victim. They don't care that he was violent. They don't care he was already deported. If you break the law on their side, they'll back you. There's no justice left, just protection for the people who serve the machine. And they'll burn the whole country to keep it running.
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to Aftershow Carnage.